Hello, everybody. It's 3 minutes past 3 in the Western European summertime zone. Welcome all at this FIAT IFTA webinar on eco-responsibility. I am welcoming also our two speakers for today, Thomas Monteil et Christine Bremer from INA, the Institut National de l'Audiovisuel in France. I am Brecht de Klerk. I am the current president of FIAT IFTA since 3 years almost. I am happy to introduce this survey briefly, this presentation, this seminar for you briefly, which will take approximately 1 hour. This seminar, as you know, is about eco-responsibility of audiovisual archives. It's, as you all are certainly aware, a very relevant subject today in audiovisual archiving as well. I will be opening in a few days also the IFTA conference in Thailand. I will do that in a virtual way. And in my speech there, I'm also going to refer to this theme because they as well have chosen this theme as their central theme for their conference. So I might say it's maybe the only relevant theme that there can be today, the eco-responsibility. I am therefore happy that INA and with INA, I think Thomas Monteil and Christine have put this theme also high on the agenda of their frame portfolio. So they will explain you within a few seconds what frame is and wants to achieve. But I'm very happy that they took this decision. And I'm also very happy that we as FIAT IFTA can host their initiative, so to speak, and that we can put our network at the disposal of Thomas and Christine to host the initiatives that they're building up around the theme of eco-responsibility. They launched more or less this survey in October 2022 during the FIAT IFTA World Conference in Cape Town. And they did the frame course during the afternoon of the first day, if I'm not mistaken, in Cape Town. And they announced their plans to launch a worldwide survey on how important this eco-responsibility is for archives. And Thomas and Christine will explain today to you what the intentions of the survey are, what kind of questions will have to be answered, and they will also provide you with the link to the survey so that that you can get acquainted with the questions that will be asked. Evidently, for FIAT IFTA, this theme is extremely important. I mean, also as a worldwide organization, we are questioning ourselves as an organization, but we're also putting the theme of eco-responsibility high on the agenda of the international networks in audiovisual archiving. That's what we will continue to do. Evidently, we don't flee from our own responsibility or constantly questioning our own practices as well, and we'll continue to do so. But we'd like to also provide a forum for initiatives such as INA's to do this kind of research, because in the end, I think the theme of eco-responsibility, although it's already historic from a historical perspective, at least 50 years old, it has never been as actual as it is today, I would say. So I think also as audiovisual archives, we should ask ourselves questions and to be able to find a status questionis, a state of matters, a state of affairs. INA is launching this survey with the support of FIAT IFTA. This all being said, I would like to invite Thomas and Christine to start off with their presentation. I'll be also around if there are any questions around FIAT IFTA's activities. Don't hesitate also to ask questions through the chat function, and through our moderator, we'll find a way to make those questions reach Thomas and Christine. So Thomas and Christine, without further delay, the floor is yours. Thank you all.
Words, and well, we're very happy to have you, to be with you today for this webinar. And well, the idea is to talk to you about the survey because it's very important for us for for all the activities we develop for the trainings and all what we do regarding audiovisual archiving, and also to make to improve things all together as professionals, and to see how we can be actors of the situation instead of just watching and waiting things to come, and how we can perhaps change the situation by our work and our actions. So we will spend 1 hour and a half together, perhaps a little less. We will have let's say 4 parts in this webinar. The first one, we are just in it with the introduction. We'll present you the survey and the frame in which we developed it and why we wanted to propose the survey. Then we will propose you to fill in the survey with us, just to be able to talk about all the questions we ask, to perhaps give you explications, also see what you think of it, if you have ideas of remarks to do on these questions, and then we will end the seminar with the conclusions. So perhaps I will give the floor to Thomas for the introduction and the presentation of who we are at INA and why we propose this survey, and then I will take the floor again for the survey itself. Perhaps give a few indications. I don't know if you are able to perhaps ask questions or react or make remarks in the discussion box you have on the screen. I'm sure you're all very used to Zoom now after a few years using it. So please don't hesitate to write down what you think, your remarks, your questions in the discussion. I'll be watching it while Thomas is speaking, and when I'm speaking, he will watch the discussion. So please participate, and all what you'll say will be important for us. We will write it down, take it in notes, and try to take it into account in our work on this topic. So I give you the floor, Thomas, perhaps for the...
Well, thank you, Christine. Thank you, Bert, and welcome to this webinar. So in really a few words, who we are at INA. So we are a public institution under the supervision of the French Ministry, and we are now defining ourselves as an heritage-based media. And this is quite important now because we will see a bit later that we want to address all kind of issues from the beginning of the preservation to the last steps. So we preserve and promote more than 80 years of audiovisual heritage, and in our missions, we have to collect, preserve, and describe and manage audiovisual collection, of course, to give access, provide access to its collection to different kind of audiences, to produce and broadcast audiovisual programs, and also training and consulting and research and innovation. So who we are? So we are Christine Bremer, pedagogical engineer, and myself, Thomas Monteil, project manager at INA. So last year, together in the frame and the frame training program, we decided to address this global issue, which is the environmental issue, because we thought that today it's more and more individuals and companies are aware of this topic and have to address it. We have to address it because we are often we have to answer to external requests and requirements from customers, from partners, sometimes from legislators as well, from funders, or just because almost every company now has a corporate social responsibility policy, and well, there's so many reasons now to try to address this environmental issue. But as Bert said in the introduction, it's still a field rather unaddressed in the audiovisual archiving. So of course there is a lot of things happening now, and things started few years ago now, but we now want to try to go a bit deeper in these issues. So FRAME, in a few words, FRAME is a training program organized by INA since for 13 years now. And as I said, last year, we had a FRAME expert workshop during the FIAT IFTA World Conference dedicated to this topic of, and can audiovisual archiving be green? So we had a roundtable about that, and we launched the survey we will talking about today. In the same time, FRAME is also a classical training courses, and in the autumn we had the FRAME advanced session, and we decided to dedicate an afternoon for the climate fresque, which is a kind of workshop dedicating to identify which are the links between human activities and changing of the climate. So now just a few words about the presentation of the survey. Christine, if you want to take the...
Yes. So, well, I give you the goals of this time we spent together today. We want to present the survey, to fill it in together, because when we worked on it with some people, we thought that it was perhaps interesting to give you information about what we had in mind, asking the different questions, and then thanks to you, make it known as widely as possible, to spread the word, to share it with as much people as possible, to have it filled as much as possible, as I was saying. So you will find the survey on the FIAT IFTA website. We will get connected to it a bit later, but perhaps you can go to the next slide. Thank you. The idea is that when we talk about the impact of archiving on the climate and on anything, we very often think of storage things, technical topics, but the idea with the survey is to consider the whole archiving chain, from the collection of archives till the communication of it, the access given to the archives. So to think of it as a whole chain and see how we could act at all the stages of the archiving chain to change things and to reduce the impact of our activity of audiovisual archiving. So from physical and digital preservation to broadcast and access activities, see what can be done to change or to reduce our impact. Also to, of course, address the missions we have, to see how we can perhaps conciliate some contradictions which can be seen between our missions and this concern of environmental issues, and not to just be satisfied of well, we already do this and it's already something and we already use LTO and well, it's something and it's enough. No, never say it's enough, and always see how we can go further and go deeper and perhaps find new solutions and try to improve ourselves together more and more every day. So well, what we want to do with this survey is to raise awareness about this topic among us, I would say, the archival community, but also identify relevant experts, persons, institutions who are doing things, who can talk about this during our training, during our conferences. So to begin to start with a network of referent persons and experts on the topic. Also identify ideas, solutions, projects, good practices, and share them to get inspired by what the other do, as we always do with a technical project, metadata project. We have a lot of sharing of practices in the FIAT IFTA, and we can have also sharing of practices regarding this topic. We would like this topic to be included in the guidelines which are produced by the different committees of the FIAT IFTA. So we already started by going in the different meetings of the commissions to present the survey, and we trust that people will work with this idea in mind when they write the guidelines and the different recommendations they write and publish. And then we will, when we have a lot of results, and when it's feel that to publish the result of this study and publish all the information we gather in order for you professional to use it in your everyday work and to perhaps improve your practices. And we hope it's only a beginning with this survey, and perhaps we can do as the Where Are You on the Timelines work that FIAT IFTA do every year. Perhaps we will go back with another survey in the next years to see, well, it's a starting point and how we work on this topic and how we can improve ourselves. So this is the objective of this work we do and we propose to the FIAT IFTA. So who can fill this survey? We had questions about this. So we could say almost everybody. It means all the audiovisual archives holders or managers can fill it as institutions or as individuals. So you can fill it as individual, fill it in as individual yourself, as a person, and also make it filled in by your institution or your company or whatever, wherever you work. So there are two levels, the individual one and the institutional one. You can have it, you can fill it in whether you are a small institution or a large one, and sometimes, and it's the case for INA, for instance, in France, we are big. We have different departments which have different missions. So it could be a good idea in our case to have it filled in by each department. If you have a technical one or a publishing or editorial department, for instance, you can have it filled twice for the same company or institution, and then we will work on the results to give a feedback on them, taking into account these different levels for the filling of the study. And then, of course, from all over the world, the idea is to have a mapping of what is done all over the world. So wherever you are, you can fill the survey. We are going to have several sections in the survey, so we are going to get into them deeper right now. But just to let you know how it's built, how it's organized, the different sections we have. First, we want to know who you are, not as person, but just to know if you are in a big or in a small organization, what is your occupation, what you are doing, and from where are you talking. Then we want to know a little about yourself. What are your feelings? How much you are concerned about these topics as a person, as an individual, just to know also from where you are talking. Then we will ask questions about your organization and the environment, how much it's taking into account today in the different actions of your organization, the organization in which you work. Then how your archiving policies dealing with these topics of environment. And then the last section is about your users, what you know about them, and how much they are concerned by these topics. So you will see that in the survey, you will have the different sections and questions about these different topics. So, well, here we are. I don't know if you have questions or remarks, but I propose you to fill the survey together. So you have here a flashcard. You can flash it or go. You have the link in the chat box if you want to get connected. The idea is really that you get connected now and you fill it in as a person, as an individual, because it's easier, I think, to fill it yourself. And if you feel confident that you can fill it in on behalf of your organization or company, please do so, but you will be able to do it later if you want. And you can, for now, we are going to get into the different sections together, and you can fill it in for yourself for a start. But we will also get into the different sections, even into the questions which will be asked to your organization to be sure that it's well understood and there are no questions. So here we are. So I propose I start, Thomas, with the first question, the first section, and I will give you the floor for the other ones. So here we are. So here you are, excuse me, I'm just, here you are invited to start giving your occupation, your position, title in your organization. We will ask you if you want to give them your name later at the end of the survey, but if you wish, you can fill it in without giving your name. Of course, it's interesting for us to have it, but you can give it to us or not if you want at the end of the survey. So Thomas is filling it in for him. So giving his position, don't go too fast, Thomas. So here you have a list of types of organizations. So please take time to pick, to choose the right box for your organization. And I don't know if everybody finds, where is it? And if you need, you can ask your personal category, I would say. Here in the other box, it's in French. Autre means other in French. Does it work for everyone? So after, it's important information for us to know what is the size of your organization, because it can change things in the bad or in a good way. Sometimes when you are too big, nothing goes fast, and sometimes it's you are more powerful to implement things. So it depends, but we will see how it works and how it changes things. So please give us this information. And then always, in order to know better who you are, I mean, what kind of organization you're working in, please give us an estimation of what is the volume of the collections, the audiovisual collections you deal with. So it can be just a rough number, an estimation. So whatever you want. But I think ours is a good idea if you have this information. But in some places, you know, the linear methods. So give us the information as it is known, and we'll try to deal with it. But it's a good idea. It's a good remark, Brett, that we can perhaps have it precise what the information we are waiting for. So I write it down. But for now, write it as you know it, I would say. So now it's the time to say if you are answering or filling in the survey in your own name, or on behalf of your company, organization, or on behalf of a department of your organization. So please, I trust you're filling it in as yourself for today, but if it's not the case, pick the right box and the right answer. Is everything going well for everyone for now, so far? Okay, so I give the floor to Thomas for the rest, the next section.
Yeah, just something I want to precise. It's because we have different kind of. If you fill it in your own name, you will not access to exactly the same question. If you are filling it on behalf of your company. So maybe for today, I will encourage you to have it in your own name. Then we can all have the same elements, and we will show you which part of the survey is more dedicated to companies. Just to be sure that we all have the same information on the screen. I think it would be easier for us if you go on your own name for this demo. From there, if you click to the submit your first answers and go to the next section, you will arrive on the you and the environment section. So here we wanted to just have a kind of overview of what is the your level of awareness regarding these issues. So the first question is, in your everyday life, an eco-responsibility approach is for you essential, important, very important, or not important. It will help us to identify in a way the difference between the importance of this issue in your personal life and in your professional context, because sometimes it could be a bit on the opposite. I mean, you don't have to. It's sometimes a bit different from which, depending on which side you are. So here we had what we meant by eco-responsibility. So it's all actions aimed at limiting the impacts on the environment of the daily activities of communities. So the next one is to know if in your professional context you have the same eco-responsibility approach, or if it's a bit different for you. So with the four same levels. Then you can check different, I mean, more than one box, just to know if you are personally committed in an eco-responsibility approach. So you can actually don't know if you are, so you can tick in, but you can say yes as an individual, not at all as a in a professional capacity, or in other. And if you say yes, other, please specify which kind of other, in which kind of other field you have this eco-responsible approach. And then you have a final question for this first section. Do you have any comments to share? And this is more general comments about the section itself. So as Christine said, you can specify any elements when you have the other box, but often you will find this kind of question asking you to be maybe a bit more precise, or well, you can add any kind of comments. It could be to precise your answers before, or to give us information about what you do, what you are doing in your company, about who can maybe about someone who can be interesting can be interesting into this filling this form as well. If you any kind of comments about this this section, you can add in it.
Perhaps Thomas, you could show what are the questions for the companies now, because it's after.
I think it's
okay.
yeah.
So I go ahead for this part, if you are okay. So now we are going to ask you a few questions about how it works in your organization, how are the things regarding this topic. So of course, as you are answering as an individual, some things you know, some things you don't. So that's why some questions are starting with as far as you know, and it is important not only to have the information, but also to see how much you are aware of how things work in your organization, because sometimes things are happening and you don't know because, well, it's for a good reason. It's not because you are not interested in the topic, it's just because it's not known in the company, and it is an information in itself to see that, well, you don't know. It means that perhaps it's not something that is well known. There is not a lot of communication about this topic in your company. So all the information is important for us. So as far as you know, is the first question, does your organization measure the environmental impact of its activities? So here you can say, if you know, well, if it is for all its activities, for instance, for a broadcaster, does it measure the impact of all the activity of broadcasting activity, or only for a part of the activities, not at all, or you don't know? And then after, who would like to know, if you know, what does your organization measure? And then it can be several things. So we try to find some different tools that exist in the world, but perhaps we don't know them all. So we propose you a sample of them: the carbon footprint, the greenhouse gas emissions measure, the water footprint, product environmental footprint, organization environmental footprint, life cycle assessment, biodiversity footprint. Perhaps you don't know, and perhaps you know others. So please pick the one or the ones, because then you can mark several boxes. Pick the ones you want, or suggest us another tool we don't know, we haven't heard about, if it's the case in your organization. That's why you have the next questions asking you what is the tool which is used in your organization, if it's none of the. Okay, so perhaps we can go to the next question if you have finished with this one. Still in the section of how your organization deal with these environmental topics. As far as you know, still, are there any legal or regulatory obligations regarding sustainable development in your sector? So this is, you have here the definition of sustainable development. Always we try to give the definitions when we have them, because we don't all have the same idea of what things are. So it's better to have well-written definitions. So we just ask you if there are obligations in your field, in your sector, yes, no, or if you don't know, and if you know, which ones? Thomas doesn't know anything about this topic. Anyway, let's go further in the next question. And we would like to know how you, as an individual, how do you rate your organization's level of awareness regarding this topic of environmental issues? So what would you say yourself? We know it's a subjective point of view, but it's just what do you think? Knowing that the level 1 is the lower one, it means that your organization doesn't care at all. as far as you know, or it's your feeling, it doesn't care, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't implement any action. And the higher one, the 4, is, well, my organization is very much involved in actions regarding this topic, acting, trying, experimenting things in this field. So what do you feel about this? And of course, you can add a comment, and this is important for us because it means that you can tell us what makes you answer this at the previous question. I know that it's not involved at all in any action because, well, I tried, for instance, to propose things and nobody was caring, or at the contrary, well, yes, it's every 6 months we have a training regarding this topic. So let us know why you answer 1, 2, 3, or 4, if you can. And then tell us in the chat box if we go too fast or it's okay for you, but we can go to the next question. And we propose a few answers to the next question. At which level your organization is the most willing to act in the field of the environmental in the environmental field? So let us know if it is at all levels. There is really a real commitment in the whole institution about this, or it is at the management governance level. It is really in one department, one entity. If it is more at the level of individuals, if you don't know. And then, of course, as this answer is not sufficient because it's just really general, let us know how it is, how you can see it, how it works. For instance, if you answer that it is at the level of a department, tell us which department it is and how, in a few words, not give us too many details, but if it is only individuals which are involved and committed, tell us how. Give us more information, and if you can see that the management, the governance is really involved and will to act, tell us a few words about this. So, of course, details and comments are always welcome. The next question is there a dedicated contact person for these issues in your organization? So let us know if there is an official person who is in charge of this in your organization and you know who he or she is. Is it a person but she or he is involved as a person, as an individual? No, nobody is in charge, or you don't know. And if there is somebody in charge at a personal or official level, please let us know what is his or her function, his position. And it can, well, it can be also several persons, because, for instance, it can be there is an official CSR manager, but you know that the person who's in charge of the digital storage is very much involved and is the reference person for all the technical issues, for instance. So let us know if you know one or several persons involved, and you can get in touch with them when you feel like proposing something, or if there is an obligation, well, this is the person in charge. So the next question is, does your organization have awareness raising and training activities or training activities regarding these topics? Do they propose training activities? I don't know, seminars, webinars, whatever, workshops, whatever. Do they do it regularly or sometimes? So you have here the first question to say yes or no, or you don't know. And then we propose you a list of actions, webinars, training courses, cleanup days. Do everybody know what are cleanup days? Zero waste workshop, good practices guidelines. This is the ideas we had, but of course, there can be others, other actions. Go to the next question. Are your websites and applications eco-responsible? Alors, we could have also have said at the beginning of this question, as far as you know, because perhaps you don't know, but if you do, let us know if there are. And then, in your opinion, what would be an example? Yes, for instance, there are some ways of developing websites taking into account the impact, environmental impact of the websites. So there are ways of developing apps, social media, or websites overall, taking this into account, specific methodologies. So perhaps if you don't know what it is, it's because you don't know if it is so. Then, is that okay, Gerhard, with this? So then we would like to know, what would bring your organization to get into, to commit to commit to a eco-responsibility approach. What would be for them, for it, important? What could they make? What could make them get involved and commit? So would it be a question of values of the organization itself? Would it be something of human resources concern involving the staff about something which is meaningful for people? Would it be because the employees, the staff are asking them to do something, and because it comes from the staffs, from the teams? Would it be because the customers, the users ask the company to be active, to commit? Would it be because there are obligations and they have to get involved, they have to change, they have to change their approach, they don't have option, so they have to do so? It's a bit linked with this answer, but would they do so because they have to when they respond to calls for tender? This is something which has to be done. It's more and more the case in France, for instance. So do they have to? Because if they don't, they won't be able to respond to the call for tenders. Would it be because it's a question of reputation, or other reasons which could make them get into these topics?
Yes, thank you, Christine. So the next part is dedicated to the archiving policy and the environment. So once again, it's will be dedicated to your company, so it's always as far as you know. So the first one is, does your organization measure the environmental impact of the archiving, communication, and access of its audiovisual archives? So it's a bit more specific than the question we asked you in the first place. So specifically regarding the audiovisual activities of your company, is there any measurement of its impact? So as before, it could be yes, it could be no, or it could be I don't know. So here, when we are talking about archiving and audiovisual and access, please have all the process, all the archiving chain in mind. It's very from the early beginning, the collect, of the collections to their reuse and broadcast, and even the new productions made from this content. The next question is, does your organization's audiovisual archiving and communication policy consider the environmental issues? So is there any question, is there any specific part of the policies which are dedicated to these issues when regarding the different kind of policy you can have for collect policies, for reuse policy, for example? Once again, it's yes, no, or I don't know. And if you answered yes, please. Oh, sorry.
Yes, there is a question in the chat. What does communication refer to? It means that we talk about communication more generally to talk about how you give access to your archives. It's more this part of the archiving chain. You have, if you would say the four part would be collect, preservation, description, metadata, and then communication, giving access to archives. So we mean by communication and access all the way to give access to the archives. But further, sometimes it can mix also with more generally communication actions. But here we are really referring to the archiving process. So it is more all the way of giving access and communicating the archives to the different audiences. Is it clear for you? Okay, so I think you can go.
Okay. So, so if your organization have policies who consider the environmental issues, please let us know in this box if you know which kind of actions have been taken in your organization to reduce the impact of archiving and communication access activities. It could be, for example, select a few social networks instead of broadcasting on every kind of social networks available. It could be, I know, a lot of different things, but with really a political decision was made on this subject.
So perhaps we could let a little time for people to answer this one, because it perhaps takes some time, Thomas, to answer this. I don't know if you have questions about this, but please take perhaps some seconds to write down what kind of actions have been taken in your organization, as far as you know, of course, still. But,
and for the next one as well. We will give you a bit of time because it's yeah. We will give you a bit of time to let you answer to, in your opinion, what actions could be implemented to reduce the impact of archiving and communication with giving access activities. It could be interesting here to have your feedbacks, and we will have some specific question after that. So what are you ready to do in order to reduce the environmental impact? But if you already have any ideas there, please feel free to share them with us, because we have some, but we are quite sure that you have very good ideas as well. So the idea here is to try to feed, our reflection and to be able to share it with the audiovisual archiving community, and to say to share these ideas and discuss about it. So any idea is welcome.
for you to be relaxed with this. You can also, of course, give us your ideas here now, because we are filling it in together, and it's important for us to go to the end of the survey. But if you have other ideas afterwards, you won't be able to fill it again, of course, because we will have 2 answers instead of 1. But you can also, and we'll give you our email addresses, addresses. You can send other ideas to us afterwards if tonight you wake up thinking of a wonderful idea, you will be able to send it to us a little later. So perhaps we can go ahead in the survey in order to reach the end, but then you'll be able to send other ideas to us.
So the next part is dedicated to the archiving policy and the environment, but we would like to know in this list of actions, which actions to reduce the impact of archiving do you consider to be most appropriate? And we wanted you to rate each proposal from 1 to 4. We on purpose decided to put it on only 4 levels to be sure that you can't just select 3 and say, okay, it's you have to give a bit of your opinion there. So yes, you will see a list of activities, and let's just you can rate each one from 1 not at all appropriate to 4 very appropriate, and between that we have number 2, it's not very appropriate, and 3 quite appropriate. So the first action is archive less, so decrease the number of items selected to be archived. Is it something that you find not at all appropriate or very appropriate to reduce the impact of the audiovisual archiving? The idea here is really to say, in other words, do we have to keep everything? Okay, it's another way to ask the same question. Do we have to keep everything, or do we have to select elements and so decrease the number of items to be archived?
Select a little, but to select more and to really try to decrease the number of what is archived.
So because I'm sharing my screen, I don't want to put 1 or 4 to everything in front of everyone. So I will put 2 or 3 everywhere. Just you don't know my opinion about that. Then the next question is archive less, sort and delete some content after a certain time, purge servers and storage centers. So for example, you have different copies of the same content, or you can say after a certain period of time, this content is not really useful anymore. So maybe we can delete it. And then archiving, delete parts of your archives. If you need any more information just to be sure what we meant by this question, please feel free to ask us to precise a bit what we mean by this question. Then still archive less, but dispose of original media after digitization. So is it something which is not at all appropriate or very appropriate according to you? Then we ask you if merging some institutions to avoid duplicate archiving could be a solution. To avoid any duplicate archiving, of course, if you have institutions in charge of archiving part of the, let's say, edited documents, and then these edited documents are broadcasted, is it appropriate to preserve it in each institutions, or maybe could we try to find more collaborative ways around archiving? Now we are on a different level, let's say. Is using equipment from the circular economy, like second-hand or reconditioned equipment, could be appropriate into your archives to reduce the environmental impact of your institution? Then, still on a bit more technical part, stop using harmful chemicals. We know that sometimes we need some specific chemicals to improve the carrier's preservation or digitization. Then the next question is about the movement of the equipment, material, and staff. So by that we mean reduce all the transportation of carriers, equipment, people, etc. Then rationalize the treatment of professional waste, disposal and recycling. And regarding the your purchasing policy, maybe review it in order to select suppliers and service providers according to environmental criteria. Which means reviewing the specification in your call for tenders. And now about file formats and file quality. Is it appropriate or not to reduce the quality of a digital audiovisual archives? For example, reducing the resolution of a moving image file, reducing the bit depth of an audio or video file, etc. And is it appropriate to transcode current archives into more efficient formats? For example, if you have JPEG 2000 in your archives, is it relevant to change it and to go with to go to another format. Now a bit some actions more linked to the access to the contents. So would it be appropriate to extend the access delay time, meaning that you will have to wait a bit longer before having access to a digital file? Then an action I talked a bit before, will it be appropriate to limit online and social media broadcasts? These questions could be a bit tricky, of course, to answer, and some of them are designed to be a bit tricky, but especially when, you know, as an archive center, we always try to give access to our content, but yeah, do we have to select as well the channels we are using to give access? Then make eco-design of digital tools, applications, website, etc. mandatory.
Eco-design. I was saying it was what we were talking about just before, eco-design of digital tools.
Then we have an action which is renounced to the latest technological developments, so slow down the pace of updates, renewal of equipment, etc. Then fund research and development of new technological solutions. And I think this subject will be at the heart of the next FIAT conference, but we have still a short question there. Restrict the use of AI to eco-compatible actions.
Each one of these questions could be could be a debate in itself, because there are a lot of things to say about everything, and we already had debates with Brett or Virginia about some of these questions. But the idea is to know how you see them and to have your opinion. It is, as Thomas said, sometimes tricky, but
And on the last one, we ask you if you already have implemented this one of more of these actions. And we say, if yes, which ones? But maybe we can also ask you, if no, why? Is it because sometimes you can have like specific policies, or I mean, which are not compatible with, for example, the purchase of second-hand equipment or things like that. So we will maybe rephrase a bit this question to add also, if yes, which ones, and if no, why? So if you have to say no now, please tell us why.
Yes, I'm going to take the last questions, which are about your users. So now, I mean, the audience, different audiences you work with. So what would you say about them? Of course, you know them, but perhaps you don't. You are not sure, but as far as you know, still, do you think that your users are attentive to environmental issues? Yes, no, I don't know. And what makes you say that? How you know? What criteria, observations make you think that they are attentive or not? For instance, do you make surveys about this? Do you have anything to know? Panels, whatever, which make you think that they are concerned or not. Then the next question is your commitments, are your environmental commitments formalized in a charter, for example? And if it is this charter or whatever it is accessible to your customers, partners, users, or providers? And then if you answer yes to this question, can you tell us in what form and perhaps in which platform, how they are accessible, how it is accessible, how are these commitments accessible for your audience, partners, providers? And this is it for, I mean, the content questions, which are what we propose you in this survey. So I don't know if you have questions or remarks about all what we saw before, because the next question will be more about who you are. And if you, perhaps before I go to the last questions, do you have questions, remarks about the survey itself, the content of it, the last questions, all the questions we saw together? And if you don't have any comment about this, and if you have, you can also send them to us later. But let's just go a little fast to the last questions, which are more, I mean, more simple for you to answer to. So if you will to give us more information, well, we ask you, what is your name? What is your gender? What is your age or range of age? What is your address? And if you feel like receiving, if you are interested in receiving information about the frame training courses and the frame activities. So, well, you can answer this now if you wish to. It's not the more difficult part of the survey. And then when you have finished with all the questions, you can press the end button and then it will be sent to us. So this is it for the survey. So I hope you could fill it in with us and finish it. Perhaps we can, and you can send it here.
Yes, please do not forget to click on send here, because if you don't, we will not receive your answers.
What we wanted to do also quickly is to show you what's happening when you answer, when you fill it in. On a tout là? On a tout? Oui. Okay, so we saw everything. Et même la partie entreprise? Okay. Okay, so we saw everything. So, well, this is it for the survey. I hope you could fill it in, and we will have plenty of answers when we finish this webinar. But the idea is also, of course, you can see looking at all these questions that it's not an end, it's really a beginning, because we could have several roundtables about all the questions we ask you, and it was the purpose of the workshop we proposed last year during the FIAT conference. It was to also share, discuss, talk together, and hopefully this survey will be a basis for the different commissions and even for you in your companies to discuss, to say, well, this is a good idea, this is not a good idea, I agree, I disagree, I wouldn't do this, etc. So yes, last minute publicity, yes, of course you can, right? And we will make our conclusion.
I'm gonna leave the last words to you to about your next steps, etc. And afterwards, I take the time to make a bit of publicity for some FIAT activities, please. Okay, so I just want to let you know that this is not the end, and if you don't agree with the questions, if you feel like giving more advice, if you feel like sharing things, sharing experiences, projects you made, please write in the different questions when we ask you comments, to write your ideas, and you can send also all your questions, all your ideas to the frame address you have here. And yes, you can. We always look for feedbacks, sharing of experiences for our trainings, for our roundtables. So yes, I think it would be a good idea for you if you have experimented things, if you tried to do some things in your companies, to tell us and to tell Brett and to tell the FIAT what you did in this field, because we really want things to improve. And well, so please help us to share yes, the sustainable effects of archives. So I just open the window. Yes, of course, reuse videos, reuse archives instead of producing new ones. It is a good way. So yes, I was thinking also to some solutions I have in mind, but we didn't mention in the survey, like also using the archives to raise awareness about the environment, showing that how things were before and how they are today. And so yes, there are other ideas. So we note this, Gerhard, thank you very much. But of course, if you have other ideas, let us know. But the idea also is to see what can we do to be even better and to improve things. So please share the survey with your networks, make it feel in your companies. Share it with your friends and have it filled before June 30. And then, well, we will present this survey and talk about it during the I International Conference in June. And hopefully we will present the first results in the second half of the year. So hopefully we will have plenty of answers to the survey in the next days and weeks. So please help us to make it know around you. And then this is it. I don't know if you have questions or remarks or whatever, but thank you very much for being with us today. I don't know, Thomas, if you want to add something, I'll give you the floor.
Yes, just because we know that it could be difficult sometimes to fill it by yourself. So if you need to have access to all the questions, for example, to share the survey with your IT department or other departments in your company, please just send us an email, because we are not yet able to give you access to and to download directly all the questions. But if you are interested in having this in a file you can share, please just send us an email at frame@ina.fr, and we will send you all the questions, and then you will be able to fill once and for all the online survey. And yeah, and I think it's all for on our side. So Bert, if you want to close this webinar.
Thank you so much, Christine and Thomas. I think many have been inspired now to fill out the survey. I enjoyed the questions. I had filled out the questionnaire already for my former employer, for Memo back in the days before New Year, but I've now also filled it out for RSI, where I currently work in Switzerland. So thank you so much. I think it's been very inspirational. I'd once again like to thank Ina for taking this initiative. We are, as FIAT IFTA, very happy to promote it further until June the 30th, and we look forward to seeing and hearing about the results in the autumn. I also want to point everyone attending the seminar to a few upcoming FIAT IFTA activities. First, starting in a few weeks with the Media Management Seminar in Dublin on May 25th and 26th. Next up will be a preservation on an online preservation seminar. The date and the theme for that will be announced soon, and that will be in June. And then obviously there is the FIAT IFTA World Conference in Locarno on October 17th until the 20th. And I'd like to point everyone to the FIAT IFTA website, fiatifta.org, to stay informed about all the activities that we're currently doing. Follow us on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on Twitter to stay updated about all our activities. I thank you very much. Thank you to the colleagues of Ina, and thank you also to Sebastian, our man behind the scenes. And I hope to see you back soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.